Good morning. I'm here with Freddie Wright, maintenance technician from the Atlanta plant. We are going to be doing a demonstration of some of the maintenance activity required for the newest design in Cototherm equipment called the iRoller. So we are going to be covering the weekly PM, which essentially includes cleaning the printer and doing an inspection of the transfer roller, then how to remove the transfer roller. Then Freddie is going to be showing us the quarterly tasks, which essentially happen at an interval of 1,400 hours, which include cleaning of the mirror plate and sensor, lubing the worm gear assembly, which drives the transfer roller, and then also ensuring free movement of the transfer carriage assembly. And then lastly, reassembly. So before we get started, let's talk about what's unique about this iRoller versus the previous versions, right? So the biggest thing is the difference in the transfer roller and how the decoration is applied to the cart. So if you can picture the previous unit, the previous generation, there were two different rollers in this assembly. One was providing heat, and it was being applied directly to the transfer roller that was then putting the decoration onto the cart. Where now there's a single roller that's significantly larger than its previous generations, right? If you want to use that for comparison. And this roller is heated via almost like a convection light that's located in this housing. So Freddie, as we get started, he's going to give us an intro of the parts and tools that we need, and then we'll get started.
Welcome all. So we're going to get started. We've got a 13 millimeter wrench, 8 millimeter wrench, open end, box end, a couple of brushes to apply our oil and our grease, a set of millimeter wrenches. I've got a 2.5 and a 3 millimeter here. That's a lot handier for me. May need vice grips. I need them the other day to pull this out. I'll show you that eventually. We've got a grease kit from Eidos. There's the part number and the two greases that come in that kit. We've got alcohol wipes from Eidos, or you can use just plain alcohol and some lint-free cloths to clean with. So the first thing we're going to do is remove our cover guards, get them out of the way. Keep in mind, all of this unit has already been shut down. It has no power on the unit, no air on the unit. So to perform these tasks, you're going to need to definitely take the air pressure off by twisting this knob here counterclockwise, and it'll take the air pressure all the way down. All right, so we're going to start by cleaning. Yes, you pull the tape off, but our tape's already off on this one. So the areas you clean here, once you pull your tape off, right here in the printer head area, you got this open already. You're going to come along here. I lied to you. You didn't take the tape all off. Okay, you take your cloth and stick it right up here and clean this print head area, right in there. Just wipe back and forth till it's clean. If you get anything on your cloth, you clean some more till it keeps coming out clean. There's also a small roller right here. That roller must be clean. Usually it's on both ends, right at the edge of the tape where it builds up. Just turn that roller and get that roller clean. You also want to do this with the power on, so you can close the print head and go back and forth motion cleaning the print roller. Push a button and this will turn with the power, and you clean all the way around this roller.
Right, the ribbon feed button.
Okay. After you do that, you check all your rollers. You start where your tape guide is. Make sure all your rollers are free. Usually over here you don't have an issue. Some machines right in here, you get strings off the cart. It will get in here. You have to clean that off. You also too want to check your brackets as you're looking at the rollers. Make sure they're not bent. And go all the way around following the tape. to get all the rollers. Make sure you get all of them, all the way around. That looked good on that one. On the black tape over here, you've got a couple right here, and these two right here as well.
One thing, Freddie, that you made a comment of, there's a specific position and orientation that these guide rollers need to be in, correct? I think one, the leading edge needs to be a little bit higher than the trailing edge.
Yes, and you fix that by these screws here. You can adjust this to get that to come up just a little bit more.
Yep.
Right now we have them kind of pretty much even, but this is a little bit higher, not
Right.
much.
Correct. Yeah, and you got to think with the iRoller, it's mounted opposite to how the current units are. So this is the edge that will actually be the leading edge as the decoration process is happening.
That is correct.
Okay, let's keep moving forward.
Okay, after we've done our weekly inspection and checking everything out,
Okay, so that's it essentially for the printer unit portion of the weekly PM, right?
yes, basically all of it just a visual inspection. You also want to look at your springs. Usually if your printer unit's been in operation,
Yep.
you're making a good print, your springs are normally good, you shouldn't have no issue, but it's still good to look at them
Okay.
just to visually check everything looks okay there.
Okay. What about cleaning the transfer roller? Do we do any of that?
No, not usually.
Okay. Gotcha.
If you've got stuff on there, it doesn't hurt, but that roller's gonna be hot.
Yep.
320 degrees Celsius on the old ones, it's 230 on this one, and you wanna be careful around that roller while it's hot.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay. So we're ready to move forward with to the removal of the transfer roller.
Okay, let's take this unit out. Like I say, it's gotta be powered down.
Okay.
Using the 13 and 8 millimeter, you've got a 13 millimeter bolt head here. You've got an 8 millimeter on the back.
Okay.
It may be difficult for you to get to. Right,
Yep.
right here.
See it.
You hold that 8 millimeter. I'll turn into 13 up front here. All right, get on here. All right, 8 millimeter nut out.
Okay.
All right, before I pull this roller all the way out, as you see, that roller is wider than this dimension here, so I'm gonna have to pull either this side or this side off. So I'm gonna pull this one.
Sorry. I'm a very dynamic cameraman, as you can see. There we go.
There's just 2 bolts hold that whole assembly on there.
Okay.
All right, now you notice we got a little bit more room. Pull this out, and the roller will drop straight out. Make sure you do this while the unit's cool or wear PPE.
Right. One benefit of this iRoller is that it has a built-in shutdown procedure to continue to run after you turn the power switch off until the roller has cooled down. So we don't need to have that auxiliary procedure for manually lowering the temperature like our current units.
When you do turn the power unit off, this unit will stay on for like 10 minutes, and this light will come on right here telling you the heater is off. It's in a cool down mode.
Nice.
So once you get it off and it's cool, you can clean this, but use back and forth motions. Going all the way around. Make sure you get the whole thing.
If we're having decoration issues, one of the things to confirm is that the actual temperature of this roller matches within 5 degrees centigrade of our set point. So if you, with this being out, I think you can get a much better view of the heating elements inside of there. That's what those are right here. So those elements heat up and radiate heat onto this transfer unit. So by that function, because there's not a requirement of conductive heat transfer, we're able to have a much more accurate roller temperature and better control of it. Okay, so we got that sucker off.
Very good. So once you get it cleaned up, you put it back on. You cannot put it back on the wrong way, because if you notice on this back side here, it's got a little pin sticking out right here. And if you look back here, you've got 4 holes there.
Right.
Where the back of it goes, it can go in either hole you want, but the center hole has got to line up.
Gotcha.
This front piece here is a bushing. It'll slide in and out. You pull it back to you, push it back up in place, and line that hole up with one of those holes, and put your bolt back through. Just like so. Put your 8mm nut on the back. This thing does have movement in here, but you push that all the way forward. That's what you need to tighten up right there. You don't want to over tighten it. You definitely don't want to under tighten it. Once you get it tight, there should be no movement back and forth on the roller. The roller should stay still. It's going to rock in the housing, but the roller will not move.
Right. When we were looking at this, we determined that there's this play here, so that the equipment can compensate for any sort of minor alignment issues or anything like that.
That is correct, John.
All right, awesome. So we're complete with the transfer roller removal. Now let's move on to the quarterly or 1400-hour PM tasks, starting with cleaning of the mirror plate and sensor.
All right, the mirror plate is right here on the side, right behind this spring here.
Okay.
So the first thing you got to do is remove the top portion of the spring. That whole unit will let down for you.
And what is the function of the mirror plate? Do we have a good understanding of why it exists in this unit?
No, I'm not certain myself, but I know it's checking the roller.
I think it's confirming the presence and the rotation. One of the things that's used to confirm the rotation of the roller.
Yes, that is my understanding.
Okay.
You've got 4 bolts down here. Loosen the 2 outside bolts. Go ahead and remove those. All right, the 2 inner bolts, all you want to do is break them free. Loosen them just a little bit. I'll show you the reason you don't want to take the bolts out in just a minute. Once you have that, you can slide the bracket up out of the way. And it takes a little bit of movement to get this mirror plate out. It's tricky. There's your mirror plate right there. And the reason you don't want to loosen the 2 screws in the middle is holding this bracket on right here. So if you take them out, it's going to fall out and mess you all up. Same as the other, you make sure this little mirror plate is clean right here. And also on the sensor here, right in the very center. Kind of hard to get to it this way if you can't get it. with this, get you a Q-tip with alcohol. Make sure not to leave any fuzz or anything on it from the Q-tip. Other than that, it just slides right back up in place. I've had it up before, and one thing I didn't tell you about, if you can see right here, I've got a black mark already on here where I've marked it. I'm going to slide it back down to the same position and tighten it back up right there. Alright, you snug them, don't tighten them too tight.
And Fred, just reading the manual, it's also this assembly here also helps regulate the temperature control of the unit.
Oh, from a couple. Alright, we got that. After that, we want to put the spring back. The top position right here just has that bolt that goes through, and it rests on that bolt.
Let's see. Yeah.
Just like so.
There we go. That's a good picture. Cool. Okay.
Also, we want to check the movement of the head, make sure everything is functioning correctly. So you can press up here right beside the spring, make sure that goes down freely. That one goes down freely. We want to slide the whole unit all the way to the right, all the way to the left. Make sure free movement, no binds. If something's binding up, we need to figure out what it is. It's got to be free moving.
So where are some of the adjustment points or mounting points that we need to be aware of when we find a concern? Like, for example, when I was in LA at one point, we were having a lot of scoring and galling across the back of the frame from the transfer carriage.
That can come from this rod here,
Yep.
which rides on a bearing.
Yep.
And if that bearing goes bad, it can cause it. Also, this scoring down here, you shouldn't have this problem on this new unit.
Yep.
Because that comes from the transfer roller
Right.
assembly, the gear.
So we essentially have this. It looks like a linear bearing, right? That's on this rail.
That is a linear bearing.
So that's what this unit rides back and forth on.
That, you have a con follower back here on the back. It rides.
Oh, yep. There we go. Okay, so those are the locations of most likely failure modes if we have a movement issue of the transfer carriage. And then, like Freddie described, we want to have free movement of these guide rollers so that you want to actuate that for me? Thank you. To ensure that the unit is able to go into the decorating position without issue.
If you have issues with the guide roller going up and down, it sticks. Usually it's been hit and bent, and this whole rod, or both rods, would have to be replaced.
Okay. All right, that's awesome stuff, Freddie.
Okay. Next on the PM, on the quarterly, every 2 month PM, the kit comes with a brush. Just dip it in oil, push this down, and lubricate those guide rods here and also on this side. And there's only 2 of them, one on the front on each side. The old unit has 4 of them, a little bit smaller. Okay, put this back on, and we'll show you how to lubricate the worm gear.
Awesome. I feel like I can do this now.
Oh, you can, John. Okay, let's turn this whole unit around now.
Shout out to Al and the Kenosha team for piloting this mounting frame. It's significantly easier to work on having this thing suspended.
4 screws holding this on. You also have the sensor wire here.
Yep. So what this sensor does is it monitors the rotation of the transfer roller. So if this is out of position, the unit will not start its heating process.
Correct, and that must be lined up in the sprockets on the roller.
Yep.
The screw has a spacer on it, which is insulated. Make sure you don't lose those spacers. It's to protect it from heat. Make sure you do this with the unit off. You don't want to expose the gear with the unit running. Once you do that, same thing with the brush and the grease that comes in the kit. You clean all the old grease off right here, and then just brush some more grease right in the center of that gear there.
So this is this a new design versus the older units?
Yes, it is. This is all new. This is supposed to be a lot more robust than the older units.
Yep. Okay, so to remove the old grease, we're just using a similar brush. Just pull it out and clean it out with the rag as good as we can, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any sort of additional cleaning that needs to happen before we put the remaining extra grease back in?
No, you just want to make sure it's clean so you can tell if you have a problem later on. You'll see some brass or plastic right here from this roller,
Right.
possibly laying down in the bottom. So if
Right.
you keep it clean, you'll be able to see when you have issues.
Right. Awesome. And this kind of represents what we're looking at right now, a unit that already is properly lubricated. We don't need to add more grease. at this
Correct.
time.
This-
Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome.
This is done every 2 months.
Yep. This will be a lot more clear as we transition to usage-based maintenance, where we're entering runtime for all of our equipment, and these PMs will just get triggered automatically.
That's always the best all the time. That way you're not doing the overkill if the machine sits down.
Yep. One of the things that we're not capturing in this video that's part of the basic PM is also the inspection of the electrical connections on both the printer unit and the controller unit. All that's going to continue to be written into the PM, but we're not including that in this video.
That is correct, John. We did not mention that. The PPE is destroyed. Okay, that concludes our PM.
All right. We got everything ready to roll, and then once again, if this was a normal situation, we would power the unit back up, print a decoration, ensure that it's clear,
Yes, sir.
right?
That is correct.
Okay, so it looks like our overall duration is about 25 minutes for this PM. Any other closing comments, Freddie, or you think we're good to go?
No, one of the main things is keep your eyes open while you're in it. Look around. Just because it doesn't say do this on the PM, you look at everything, make sure everything looks good.
Awesome. Okay, thanks so much, Freddie.